Hello, familiar faces.
Hey.
Hi, Allison.
Hello.
Hi, Nan.
Hi, Terry. Hi, Michelle.
How are you?
Joey and I have also crossed paths. Your face is familiar, but the name doesn't.
Hi.
Nice to be on screen. Is that a
Yeah.
polite thing to say? When we're all over it.
Mhm.
Good to see you.
Thank you. I literally had been on my mind. And Michelle, I sent a message to your work email and it bounced back with a, this isn't being monitored. And I thought, you know what? I know I can get right to Allison.
Mhm.
And she literally was like, yep, like tomorrow something's coming out. So
Yeah.
I'm glad I was on par.
Nice.
No,
Okay, so we're just waiting for a few more folks to join us, and then we'll get started.
Hey.
Welcome. Welcome,
Hello,
Ellen.
everyone.
Welcome, Michelle. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, guys.
Welcome. Happy Tuesday.
Same to all of you.
Thank you.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi, I'm gonna go off video because I have to jump in the car, but I just wanted to at least say hello.
Oh, yeah. We thought you were taking
Thank
us on
you.
your walk.
I was at ice skating.
Oh,
Doing so nice.
Aw.
So she doesn't want to be on my Zoom call, she said. So I'll go.
Oh, funny.
It's always funny to think of people. I know a few people, their sons or daughters play hockey and ice skating. You don't imagine that in the sunny climate down here, but
Yeah.
you're still muted, Cindy. You're still muted.
I said it's so true, but she absolutely loves it. Thankfully, they have a rink up here in UTC.
Yes, yeah, I've skated there. Yeah, it's fun.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah.
I forget you guys are all local San Diego, right? So you
Yeah.
know exactly what I'm talking about. I feel like I'm in the master's program at SDSU and people are from all over. So I have to explain that we actually do have an ice rink here.
Oh, that's funny.
We have one. I'm just kidding. We have our one.
It's on the beach at Coronado and it melts out.
All right.
Oh, well, we're lucky to be here. I have a friend that lives in Dallas and oh my goodness, she's part of that whole rolling blackout thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've heard
Nice.
everyone's like snowed in and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My in-laws are in Austin and they've been without power, in that same group. So yeah, it's an adventure this winter.
It's rough.
Wow.
We got a good group here.
Mhm.
And thank you everyone for being on time. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Oh, there she is.
We'll go ahead and get started. Allison is going to be recording this session, so just so everyone is aware. Hi, welcome everyone. I'm Michelle Schneider. I am one of the facilitators for the CMP Study Group, and today we're just going to talk a little bit about the application process, also what to expect from the exam. I received my CMP in 2009 and have since recertified twice. So I've been through that process a couple times already. And I'll let the other facilitators introduce themselves as well. So we have Julie.
Hi, ladies. Good evening. I'm Julie Hager. I'm the Sales and Events Coordinator at Norellis. I was with the San Diego Tourism Authority before this for 5 years as their events manager. And I was certified with my CMP in 2017. So it looks like I'll be coming up for my recertification in just over a year. So I am preparing for that as well, so it doesn't creep up too fast. But it's so good to have everyone here. Look forward to answering questions and seeing if we can't get you on the road to your CMP.
And hi, everyone. My name is Terry Stevenson. I'm a program manager at Balboa Meeting and Event Solutions. And I got my CMP back in 2010. In fact, Michelle was my facilitator. And I enjoyed the course so much and found it so valuable that I've been sticking around and doing it. And I really like it selfishly because it keeps me opening the books, and I still learn something new at every event, at every meeting that we have. And I just finished recertifying for the second time. So yeah, it's great. It's always fun. And like I said, really enjoy helping out with this. Oh, you're on mute.
Oh, am I muted still?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so so just trying to get ourselves situated. Just a little welcome here. Just post comments and questions in the chat. And then this information will be available after the meeting. Like I said, Allison is recording this for us. To get us started, type in the chat box, what month, year do you plan to take the exam? And then also, what level of knowledge do you have with regard to the exam? So 1 being brand new to the whole process, 2 just needing a bit more information, and 3 just you're ready to go and take that exam, just need to get that studying in. So
Michelle, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. The sound is a little choppy, so I don't know if it's the video or not, but the sound is just a little bit choppy.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. Or it still sounds choppy.
I can hear you clearly.
Okay, good.
Okay. I probably just have to speak a little slower so it captures everything. Okay, let's see. Okay, so. All right, so some folks are brand new, some are ready to go. Okay, so quite a few brand new folks. Fall, May, okay. Okay, perfect. Thanks, everyone. This gives us a little bit more information about where everybody's at. So thank you for sharing. And let's see, next. So what is the CMP? It stands for Certified Meeting Professional. The program itself is administered by the Events Industry Council. It's the foremost certification of the meetings, conventions, and exhibitions industry. It recognizes individuals who have achieved a level of standard of professionalism in the industry. And about 11,000 individuals in 55 countries and territories have earned the CMP designation since 1985. So it is a worldwide designation. Some of the reasons why folks become CMPs, one is for recognition. It distinguishes the holder as career professionals that have demonstrated a high level of experience, skill, and knowledge. It gives holders a competitive advantage for both work and in the greater industry. Peer acceptance, CMPs are immediately recognized by other CMPs. In some instances, it can be used for salary enhancement depending on your the industry or company that you're with. Personal achievement, the process itself in terms of the application process, and then also the exam itself is a difficult one, and it's very time consuming. But once you actually pass the exam, there's this profound sense of achievement with regard to gaining that certification. And then commitment. It basically conveys your commitment as a certified meeting professional in this industry. So the process itself, you can apply anytime. You want to go to the EIC website and download, there's a handbook there. There's also an addendum, and then the CMP international standards. The international standards themselves are very important because they are the basis of what is covered in the exam. And then there's also a candidate webinar that the Events Industry Council has put up, and that's a recent recording. So you want to make sure that you are taking a look at all of those items. You want to fill out the application and submit it to the EIC for approval online. So everything is done online through that portal. And then you'll receive approval within 3 to 5 weeks from the CIC, sometimes sooner. It just depends on how many applications that they receive. After you receive approval of your application to be in the program, then you pay the exam fee with the EIC, and then you schedule your exam with it's a separate company called Prometric, where you will select the time you want to go ahead and take your exam, and then you sit for the exam. So after you've actually had notification from the EIC, you have 1 year to take the exam. Are there any questions so far?
Go ahead, Nan.
Thank you. Thankfully, I am familiar with the process, but wondering if my qualifications have potentially timed out. So can you, I'm sure they're upcoming, but just real quick, so I have my thoughts together. I have 3 years in a catering position that ended in 2019. So I'm, almost 2 years out from that position, but it was within the last 5 years. Am I good to go, or has any qualifications changed?
Yes, so we'll review that as well. So you're exactly right, Nan. So as long as you have 3 years of experience and they've happened in the last 5 years, that would qualify. And it would have to be experience in a meeting or events industry role. Okay. So the application has 2 parts. It has the professional experience in that in the industry, and then also the continuing education piece. And so when you in the first section, the professional experience in the industry, so there's 3 options. So we kind of covered that a little bit with Nan's question. So 3 years of industry work experience, and as long as it's happened in the last 5 years, it counts, and it doesn't have to be consecutive. So say you have 1 year here, and then a couple months off, and then another year. As long as there's 3 total years within the last 5 years, that will count. The other option is a degree in meetings and events plus 2 years of work experience. So if you have that particular degree and 2 years of work experience, again, the work experience just has to be in the last 5 years, that counts. Or you're a full-time instructor that has taught at the university level in meetings and events for the last within the last 5 years, at least 3 years. The other section is on internship or continuing education. So there's two options to fulfill this section: completion of 25 hours of continuing education within the last 5 years, or completion of an approved internship, apprenticeship in the industry, 200 hours. So those are the two options to fulfill the continuing education portion. So for the continuing education, the things that count for that would be face-to-face conferences, webinars, classes, individual sections. Note that the subject matter of the sessions must relate to one of the domains in the CMP International Standards. Again, that's that document that identifies exactly everything that's going to be in the exam. 5 hours can be non-industry specific if it relates. So for instance, if you have some, event sales type of sessions or marketing as they relate to events, that would count as well. And then you don't have to have activities in all 9 domains. So, for instance, in domains 7, you don't necessarily have to, or I'm sorry, domain G, they're by letters. You don't have to have activities in that particular one, as long as all of the activities are related to those domains. Documentation is required, and so that would include any certificates of completion, registrations, agendas, which basically shows that you did attend and complete those sessions. And then again, that candidate handbook contains all the full requirements. You want to download that, the addendum, and the international standards. So deadlines and fees for the CMP exam. Testing windows are now year-round. So just depending on when you apply, and then also when Prometric has spaces available for you to take the exam. The application fee is $250. That goes to the EIC. The exam registration fee, so once your application is approved for the program, is $475. And then if you have to reschedule, there is a rescheduling fee of $75. Testing options. So you can do in-center testing appointments, or you could do remote proctoring appointments. So this is an opportunity that they now provide where you can actually take the test from home. But there is a proctor that's there to monitor the exam. For either option, you must wait a minimum of 90 days between exam attempts. So if for some reason you don't pass the first time, there is a 90-day minimum between those attempts. The EIC and Prometric are continually monitoring the situation with regard to the pandemic, and so they'll have some updates. So depending on where you're taking the test, there might be some updates. So you want to check in often with Prometric on your testing dates. The exam structure, it's all computer based, so everything is done on the computer. There are 165 multiple choice questions. 150 of those questions are scored. And then there's 15 that are unscored questions. And those are questions that are put in there by the EIC to test them before they become part of the exam itself in terms of the scored questions. The thing is, you don't know which ones they are. So you want to make sure you answer all 165 questions. And you won't know which ones are going to be unscored and which ones are scored. And then the scoring itself, there's 4 answer choices. So it would be A, B, C, or D. There are no trick questions. There are no all of the above or none of the above questions. The exam itself will take about 3.5 hours. So you have that time frame to be able to take the exam. It's a pass or fail score. And typically with regard to the score, it's done by weighted. So the questions themselves have different weights to them. And so there's not like a 70% pass. It's basically depending on what the exam itself is, everything's weighted. Then it's offered only in English currently. Translation is not available. To prepare for the exam, there's some options here that you want to make sure that you take a look at. The study text, you want to be able to purchase those. There's the EIC manual, that's the 9th edition. So there are other editions floating out there. So you want to make sure that you're studying from the most current one, the 9th edition. That's $99 on the website for EIC. There's also an ebook format. And you could get both the hard copy and ebook format for $150. You need to purchase them at the same time to receive that discount. So that's an option for some folks who like to be able to do a quick search through the book for, for keywords, and then be able to outline still, in a manual copy. There's also the EIC glossary, that's for $35. And then the professional meeting management 6th edition book, that's $110. That's the PMM. Really, everything is going to come out of that EIC manual and the glossary. So a lot of the questions are all going to be referenceable to both those texts. The PMM is actually a nice complement to the textbooks that you use. And it just gives you a little bit more in-depth into each of the topics. Terry, Julie, do you have anything else to add with regard to preparing for the exam?
We could talk about the pocket prep too. Is that later? Or did I miss any of that? There's a fantastic app, and I love it just because I felt like this really helped me to prepare and practice the question styles and repetition. We all learn in different ways. And so what this is an app. And I believe you can actually download, we were just doing a little research, you can download the first 30 questions for free. And then if you want to upgrade, it looked like it was at $25 to get 300 questions. And what's really cool about that is if you are really strong in one domain, but you struggle in another, you can customize the questions and the text that you receive so that you can really kind of work on those weaker points. And for me, that was kind of, you're at the grocery store and, you're waiting in line, you can answer a couple questions, you're doing things, you have that right there to keep practicing. And so I thought that was a really helpful tool in addition to, the manuals and books.
We had someone ask in the chat if there's the link to the app, or do you just search the Pocket Prep in the app
Yeah,
store?
great. Yeah, that's a good question. So it does come in different formats. So Apple, I think I saw it on Amazon as I was just doing a search, and whatever else you might find. So yes, you go to your app store, and I believe Pocket Prep CMP, because they do Pocket Prep for all sorts of different exams. So if you put that in to your app store, it's, I believe, a blue icon, and it's called Pocket Prep. I'll see if I can find it too.
Great, thanks, Julie.
And not to, toot our own horn, but I was going to say also our class, the study group as we get there is just, kind of brings all of the pieces together and helped me. Michelle was mine. Terry was also my facilitator when I did this. And it kept me accountable for studying, when things get crazy and I, didn't think I could quite do it. I was like, okay, I don't want to let the team down. I want to keep the momentum going. And so it was good to have that as well.
Because to add to what Julie said, I think a lot of the thing is it's not just memorization, but actually understanding how to apply the principles that are in the book. So, like you're saying, no true or false, and things like that. So what a lot of people will say is just sitting talking about the questions really helps them to kind of solidify it in their mind. And hopefully they think of us in our class while they're taking, while you're taking the test.
Great. With regard to online courses, there are some online courses available. PCMA is kind of the one, the premier one. And so if that's an option as well. It's a little bit pricey, but you know, a lot of folks maybe want to combine a lot of, you know, options for their studying. And then study groups, as Julie and Terry mentioned, study groups I think are a helpful way to be able to discuss certain topics. I know that when we are looking through topics and people have questions, those are the kind of things that stick in your mind when you're actually taking the exam and studying for it. And so, so I think that's kind of a good way to retain some information. So with regard to the CMP study group, some of the benefits are, you know, you have the benefit of having other candidates studying for the exam in kind of the same area. And then also it's an opportunity to sharpen your standardized testing skills. For those of us who haven't been doing, you know, tests for a while, it's an opportunity to be able to experience that exam style and then also get helpful test taking tips. Kind of getting a read on everybody's comfort with the information that was just shared. How are you feeling about the information we just shared this evening? 1, I still need more information. 2, I'm scared but excited to start. 3, I'm ready to dive right in. So go ahead and type that in the chat box. Okay. Oh, everybody's ready to dive right in.
I like 1, 2, and 3.
1, 2, 3.
All of the above.
I was looking at that, yeah.
Okay. Great. Again, thanks everyone for sharing. Allison, yes, we'll make sure that you guys get a copy of the information in the PowerPoint and then also in the recording. Okay. So we're at the end of our presentation. Does anyone have any questions right now about the process or the exam, about the study group?
I have a question. Can you hear me okay? Yeah.
Hi, Michelle.
Yes.
Hello, everybody.
Yes.
I'm taking classes at Maricosta right now for my hospitality and AA for that. And will those classes go towards the CE units?
I think they can. I think though, I don't know if they can count for both, because if you're getting your associate's degree, like I don't know if it can count for both of your associates and then also the continuing education.
I'm getting the certificate
think
program
it counts.
along with it. The certificate's going to come with.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I think that would count. Yes.
And then I went to the Las Vegas meeting, not last year, but the year before, and you said those conferences count. That was I don't remember what the meeting was called. It was that big conference.
IMAX? Did you go to IMAX?
Which one?
IMAX?
No, it was the other one. It was the 3-day one in October. MBA? Is it MBA or the wedding MBA? Does that sound familiar to you?
As long as the content relates to the 9 domains, it should count.
Oh, okay.
You just want to compare the session descriptions to what's listed in the international standards.
Okay.
And so, so if they were late, then you should be able to select those.
Okay.
And-
And then I've been doing the weddings probably since maybe 2015. And so I have like my business license. When I show that for the last 3 years is showing that I've been working in the industry because it's my own business, since I'm not technically working for somebody.
Right, and part of the application is you have to submit a resume, so that would be
Yes.
part of that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you for all those answers. Thank you.
And just to sort of piggyback on that, which those are great questions, as you're collecting those hours, you really want to save all of the documentation. You know, I went into it with, I do not want them to reject my application because it costs money and it takes time. And so I saved everything and scanned everything. And I swear, I think my submission was probably excessive, but I didn't want them to tell me no. And they didn't, you know, which was great. So agendas, anything to support what I was saying, if it wasn't already applied. So what's really great is MPI, if it's EIC approved, will automatically submit that through to EIC for you. And you just need to go in and update it with hours. But for all of those others that you don't have that automatic upload, you need to make sure you have everything that you could possibly. So I just
Okay.
remind everybody, because you kind of forget and it collects, you know, and then
Yes.
the next thing we're digging to find emails and, you know, all that stuff. So just save it all. I've even started that for my recertification, just keep filing it away. So it's just sitting there when I need it.
That's perfect. Okay.
Definitely the most convenient way, the easiest way is when you create your profile in the EIC to track all of these, make sure that the email that you use to create that profile is the same email that you use to register for any course. Because if they're approved, if they're CMP approved, like I said, it automatically gets dumped into your profile. And then like in so many more vendors, like AV companies and destination management companies and other vendors are getting their content approved for CMP credits. And just because that encourages people who are, you know, applying to sign up. And so it's really convenient to have it done like that.
I had a question about the like style of the study group. So how is that kind of how does the process work? Like, so we come to the information session and then when we get into the study group, like, what will we do?
Yeah, so so if you decide to move forward with the full study group course, the way that it works is we do meet every 3 weeks or so, and we have assigned sections that folks will do outlines or create study tools for. We also go over some case studies that go into depth of whatever that domain is we're covering for that week. And then some additional topic questions, as well as a quiz on that particular domain that we've studied for that week. So, so that's kind of a combination of everything. So there is work in between. Most of it is going over reading the material and then going back and creating study tools or presentations for your colleagues for you to share with your colleagues. And then we go over the topics more in depth when we all meet together. So far it takes so right now the study session goes from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock, and we usually take up the full time for those dates.
So it's almost like we're presenting to our class kind of about what we learned, like, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then there was a question as well in the chat with regard to the study group. It does count for continuing education units. So you could submit this course as towards those 25 hours. Also, With regard to the sessions, they don't necessarily have to be EIC certified already. What you want to do is make sure that it still relates to the domains that are in the international standards, and then submit whatever the session description is, along with your attendance record for a particular session, and that should count towards your 24 hours.
But as Julie said, don't submit just the minimum requirement for hours. If you pad it with an extra 10 hours, which, you know, isn't too hard to do, then if they decide not to accept one or two of your classes, you're still fine. So you just pad it. Yeah.
And then Allison, you have a question with regard to experience. So the way that the requirement is, you have to have 3 years of experience within the last 5 years. And so I know that if you have more than that, as long as 3 of those years have been in the last 5 years, then that would meet the requirement. And they don't have to be consecutive 3 years. It can be like a year here, and then, you know, maybe there's a couple years in a different industry and then another year in events. So, so it doesn't have to be consecutive. Any other questions?
I thank you.
Everybody
Yeah, thank
ready
you
to
for
go?
everything.
Yeah.
Well, thanks
Yeah,
everyone
thank
for
you.
joining us. I mean, we're available for any questions that you might have. You can see here our email addresses, and then we'll make sure that you get this presentation and the recording so you have it for later use. Other than that,
And do
anything
you
else
email
to
the
add?
presentation? Will you email us the presentation?
Yes.
Yes, we can do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then we'll send also some instructions with regard to how to complete your registration for those of you continuing with the study group.
Okay.
I would order your books if you've made a decision to continue, order your books, because it is taking a bit longer in this day and age. So that's why we've been trying to hold the meeting, this intro meeting, a bit earlier than usual to give your books more time to get to you. So
Thank you. Good advice.
yeah.
I do have actually another question here. It says, regarding the course schedule, what if there's a conflict with one of the dates? How do we make up the classes and such?
So typically we don't do makeup classes for those weeks, but you'll still have access to everything that we covered during that week. So we set up a Dropbox, and it has all of the presentations and study tools and the quizzes and any other things that we review during that time, all the case studies. So you still have access to the information, but we wouldn't hold a makeup session necessarily unless, you know, a lot of people couldn't come, or like, you know, no one could attend. So we would reschedule that. But for the most part, everything is still accessible with regard to the information. That's a good question. And then, was there another question?
And I just dropped the schedule at a glance in the chat for the agenda for the study group, if anyone wants to take a look at that as well.
Thanks,
And if
Allison.
you let us know that you're going to be out of town working, hopefully, we'll all get back to our meetings, but if for some reason, personal or business, you're traveling, you just let us know, and we don't assign a chapter to you that week. So. Yeah.
Well, I guess I have one more question. So about the resume, you would just put down pretty much how long I've been doing weddings for. It would be like a normal business resume type of a thing. I don't need to put down all the events that I've done for the last 5 years, because that would be a lot, like for all the different weddings.
No, it would just be like your general resume. And I think that Is there also, and Terry, Julie, remind me, is it a section where you attach your resume, but also you have kind of like dates of when you started a particular position and when it ended, et cetera? Is it something like a job
Right.
application?
That's my memory. Now, again, it's been a couple of years, but my memory was that I included sort of my formal resume, but also had to break it down, but not to event level, Michelle, not to that kind of breaking
Right.
down, but you know,
Thank
I
you.
was with this company for this amount of time and just accounting for that time. So yeah,
Okay.
I think you're okay.
And so I've been working actually in the dental field during the daytime just to have the stability of that job. So I would still put all that stuff down in there, I guess, along with owning my own business.
I think that because it's, you know, the focus is really on events industry
Yeah.
experience, you can just include that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. You guys are sweet. Thank you. All right. Well, I think I'm going to leave and I thank you all for your help. You're really helpful. So thank
Well,
you.
Thank you,
You're
Michelle, for joining,
welcome. Thanks.
everyone for joining us today. And then we'll be in touch with some additional information. And then also, if you have any further questions, please let us know.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Hope to see you again soon. Thanks, bye.
Bye.